What is the oldest known test to see if you're pregnant or not? It's probably not a thought many people think about, but if you've been watching me and my channel for a while, of course you understand that my mind did go there. Although, to be completely fair, it wasn't even my brain that thought of this actually. It was my pink-haired paleontologist sister who lives in Sweden who sent a picture in our family app on WhatsApp, and she shared a fun fact about ancient Egypt. So, my name is Kaylee, and thanks to my sister Melanie, we're going to look into the world's oldest known pregnancy test that was used more than 3,500 years ago in ancient Egypt. Of course, as you can imagine, in ancient times they didn't have the plastic tubes to pee on or to dip into pee like we do in modern times, but the effectiveness and ingenuity of this ancient pregnancy test is astounding to me personally. We take so many things for granted nowadays in modern times that we forget about the struggles and the things that the ancient inhabitants of this planet had to cope with and had to invent things to make their lives easier. Things that we don't pay attention to in modern times, not even a thought. The basics of this ancient pregnancy test is actually really similar to the basics of our modern pregnancy test. So to put the basics super simple, a woman takes a urine sample and then waits for a chemical reaction. That's the basics of both the ancient pregnancy test and the pregnancy test we do in modern times. The main difference between these two is that in modern times we wait 2 or 3 minutes for the test to reveal the result, and in ancient times it could take up to 2 or 3 days. So if you were anxious to know if you were pregnant or not, instead of like 2 or 3 minutes being very nervous to see the results, you had to wait 2 or 3 days to get the result, and that's a really long wait. Oh my god, I wouldn't be able to deal with 2 or 3 days before knowing. That's long. That's really, really long if you're nervous. Oops. I'm happy I live in modern times now. Archaeologists actually discovered a papyrus that instructed the women on how to take this ancient pregnancy test. This papyrus dates from the New Kingdom era between 1500 and 1300 BCE, which means that the instructions for this pregnancy test were already known about 3,500 years ago, which means that they were probably doing this for a longer period of time, but we know for a fact it's at the very least 3,500 years old. It was written in a Hieratic script, which was the ancient Egyptians' cursive form of the hieroglyphic writings. Ancient Egyptian medical papyri are incredibly rare. There are less than a dozen of them in a well-preserved condition that have been discovered. This papyrus is owned by the University of Copenhagen, who acquired the papyrus among 1,400 other papyri through grants from the Carlsberg Foundation. The papyrus was first translated in 1939 by a Danish Egyptologist, but in recent years it's been studied again. According to the head of the Carlsberg Papyrus collection, Egyptologist Kim Reihold, they're dealing with the rarest kind of material. Since there are so little Egyptian medical papyri left, anything they discover that was previously overlooked or not seen could shed new important light on the lives of the ancient Egyptians. The less than a dozen of ancient medical papyri had another quite interesting revelation that Egyptologists were stunned by, as no Egyptologist was of the belief that the ancient Egyptians knew of the existence of the kidneys and their function. One of the medical papyri actually discussed the kidneys, and this showed that their knowledge of anatomy was a lot more advanced than was believed by the scholars. So, what did the papyrus instruct women to do to test if they were pregnant? Well, A woman would need 2 bags, and one would be filled with barley and the other would be filled with the various wheats that were grown in Egypt at the time. She would pee on both bags, and if they would sprout faster than regularly, she would be pregnant. I know this is all pretty basic, and you're probably wondering why she needed 2 bags with different contents to take this test. The answer to that is simple yet effective. The ancient Egyptians were intelligent enough to figure out a way to determine the sex of the baby that's being carried in the mother's womb. If the barley grows first, the baby inside her would be a boy. But if the wheat grows first, the baby inside her would be a girl. Of course, as you can imagine, if none of the 2 grow, she was not pregnant. This method of testing a woman's pregnancy was used successfully for more than 3,000 years. The same text can be found in both Greek and Roman medicine writings, in the Middle East during the Middle Ages, and in European medical traditions, even as recent as in a German book of folklore dating from 1699, the instructions for this particular test were discovered. We all know that the ancient Egyptian medicine practice was highly respected and revered. Their practices and methods were often adopted by cultures who came in contact with them, as you can imagine. The ancient travelers who came to visit ancient Egypt were astounded and amazed by the fact that the doctors were specialized in certain areas of medicine and the body, and their vast knowledge was praised by many. The pregnancy test is a testament to their advanced knowledge and skill, as this technique found its way far beyond the borders of the ancient Egyptian kingdom. You might at this point think, yeah, this is all fun and whatnot. You know, pee on a little bit of wheat and pee on a little bit of barley. But how accurate was this ancient test? Well, researchers actually figured that out in 1963. In a scientific study that was conducted and published in the Medical History Journal. During this study, it was discovered that there was indeed a scientific substance to this ancient method. The researchers tested the theory. They had pregnant women pee on bags of grain, and they discovered that in 70% of the cases, the grain started to sprout. 70% of all cases were confirmed. That's such a high number, especially when you think about the fact that the ancient Egyptians figured this all out more than 3,500 years ago. The test unfortunately wasn't deemed reliable enough to determine the sex of the baby, which to me is a little bit of a shame. I should actually ask my pregnant oldest sister, not the one in Sweden, but I should actually ask her if I could let her pee on a bag of wheat and a bag of barley, since they, at this point in time, have no idea what the sex of the baby in her belly is. She might actually agree to do this. I'll be back. Okay, I asked, and she actually agreed. So, yeah, I guess I'm ordering a bag of wheat and a bag of barley to see if we can test the sex of my sister's baby. She will have the ultrasound actually determining. She will have the ultrasound to determine the sex of the baby without a doubt in December. So around that time, I will probably make another video following up on this. I'm actually gonna do an ancient pregnancy test method to see if we can determine the sex of the baby accurate before it's actually determined. This is dope. Okay, so anyways, back to the research. Modern scholars actually discovered that it was the high levels of estrogen in the women's urine that played with the accuracy of the tests. This helped stimulate the growth of the wheat and barley. So the next logical question that you might have is, Did the ancient Egyptians know about the hormones in the urine? Well, the most likely answer, as you can imagine, is no. They had no knowledge about hormones in urine. The test's accuracy is mostly because of trial and error over a prolonged period of time. There is no indication that the ancient Egyptians had any knowledge about the hormonal influences on the urine. There was another ancient pregnancy test used in Egypt, but research has shown that this test really wasn't reliable, and if I'm gonna be completely honest, it seems super uncomfortable, but like really uncomfortable. I would never try this, do this, ask anyone to do this. Nope. Hell no. No. In this test, a woman had to put an onion in her vagina. And if the next day her breath smelled like onion, then she would be pregnant. Yeah, like I said, super uncomfortable. Nope. Never ever gonna do that. Never ever gonna ask anyone to do that. Just nope. Nope. We all know that ancient Egyptian medicine was based in mythological and religious stories. They were able to recognize many diseases and ailments that we still struggle with in modern times, but their remedies were usually based on expunging spirits or demons than understanding how to get rid of the disease. Of course, there will be many invention videos that I will make in the future, and a lot of them absolutely will feature a lot of ancient Egyptian inventions, since they invented a whole lot of things. And in my personal opinion, they really are the greatest civilization that has ever lived on this planet. But that's my personal opinion. We can agree to disagree if you'd like, but you know, where's the fun in that? Just agree with me. I'm Dutch, I'm blonde. That has like absolutely nothing to do with intelligence, but hey, it is what it is. It's a personal opinion. If you enjoyed watching, then don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to see more of these kind of videos, and click that bell icon if you want to be notified every time I upload. And make sure to have it set on all notifications, and make sure that you have YouTube notifications turned on your phone. And if you haven't seen my previous videos yet, then click the card in the upper right corner, just like right now, or click links in the description down below, or click one of the videos in the end card. I'd also like to thank my highest tiered supporters on Patreon and my members. Let's start with Patreon. Floyd, Barry, Vaughn, Jeff Henderson, DJ, Klaus Jepson, Ricky, Ira Whiteside, Malleus Flavus, Tom Barkwell, Dibbler666, Timothy P. Smith, and Gerald Lamontan. I would also like to thank my channel members, Fulps, and Ben Oppenheimer. Thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed making this one. It went super quick because I already read a lot about it in the past week, and yeah, the script was written really fast. And I'm mostly excited for the pregnancy test to determine the sex of my sister's baby that I will eventually create into a video in December. She will stay completely anonymous because she has no desire to be in any spotlight, which I can imagine. So yeah, I'm excited for that. And for now, I will just see you in the next one. Bye. No, I'm not drinking alcohol. I'm actually drinking Bullet, which is an energy drink, because holy hell, I need energy. Also, before I end the video, I would like to say that the merch is dropping Monday, November 1st, 2021. You can get like journals like these. Go get yours. I've got a lot. The site will go live midnight, November 1st, Dutch time. So like Amsterdam time, which will be in a couple of hours actually. So it's not a full day from now, but actually a couple of hours. And there might be some things, like some hiccups along the way, but we're just gonna have to accept those. I'm doing my best. It's my very first time doing this, and we'll see how it goes. Let me pee on some wheat and barley, and then wait 2-3 days in complete agony. Hell no.